I know so many things. Have you come across, or have you heard the new use of adjustable rates to qualify? Have you come across or be aware of that?
No, I can't tell you that I have. I mean, adjustables are very common in commercial transactions, but in residential, no. I haven't seen anybody try to acquire an adjustable rate right now.
I have not, but I know that's part of the national conversation. I don't know what the rates are on those, but if it's fixed for 5 or 7 years, people are thinking that's a solution.
It could be for somebody who doesn't expect to live in the property long term. Absolutely. It's all about knowledge, though. It really is about facilitating the conversation and educating the consumer.
Right. Well, I mean, that's, I guess, more important. I mean, you must deal with quite a bunch of first-time buyers.
Quite, yes.
That's
yes.
Exciting.
I hold their hand the entire step of the way.
That's a great feeling.
It is the best feeling in the world when you sit at a closing table and you have a family who are just so filled with gratitude and joy. I mean, just last week, as my client finished signing his last piece of paper, his wife leaned over to me and she said, he's about to cry. He worked so hard for this, and it's great. It really is. It's a great feeling. I love this aspect of the law. It's productive. I help people get into their American dream. I help people buy properties that they can use for passive income for retirement. I help people cash out when they're ready to cash out. It's just a great feeling. It really is.
It sure is. I've experienced that too. And to have people financially improve like that with now a tax deduction, and you need a house for barbecues, but to be free from a mean landlord, to have an improvement in their financial condition, and to just celebrate. I just happened to look back at some pictures the other night of my wife and I fixing this house that was the money pit. And I was that guy with putting up the chandelier and smiles and the future and the kids. It's special. And fortunately for you, you can be the source of that joy.
I mean, even for me, I bought something last year. I mean, the pride of home ownership is just, there's such an intrinsic quality attached to owning a piece of real estate. And it is the easiest way to create generational wealth. And it's, there's nothing much more tangible in terms of an asset other than a property. And that's the truth.
Sure. And that's why Home Depot's filled up on a Saturday morning of all these weekend warriors are going to do this, you're going to do that. And, you see the plywood on the roof or the paint in the trunk.
Myself included.
Myself included too. When I look back at the bills I had, even for, we need a hose. We need, right now I still have to get some carpeting in my downstairs. So look, that's the emotional part. And it's, that's fantastic. Tell me about, your origination, so to speak. I know you personally and I follow you online. So I know you're big with your referral partners and, connecting and meaningfully adding to the relationship. Tell me, how you do that and why that's so important to you.
Well, I think like anything, relationships are extremely important. And it takes time, just like a husband and wife, a friendship. Your business relationships are really the fodder of your office. So I really value and appreciate and work very hard to keep my business relationships alive. And it's about communication. It's about mutual respect. It's about knowledge. And it's about keeping everybody informed. Listen, a partnership is a team when you're getting to the closing table. It carries so many players. And unless every player is in sync, we're not going to get there. So your referral network and everybody working together to achieve that closing table moment is very important.
Sure. That's on the professional side,
Yep.
where the joy comes from the client base, but the professional side is a job well done with those chosen. Now, I mean, I call the agent has a core four of the lender, the title, the insurance, the attorney, and in most cases, the home inspector as well. So that's really five. But I mean, a realtor can have a great career if surrounded by the people that believe in them and want to support them and want to add so much to the experience. Think about the realtor or even you with a great team is a great resource. You can get it done.
Yeah, and it is about getting it done. Excuse me a second. I mean, if I get an email or a call from a lender that says, Maria, we're clear to close, let's do it right away. I don't, sit back and say, okay, look at my calendar. Let's schedule it for next Friday. No, let's do it right away. Let's line everybody up and get it to the closing table.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, speak to this issue. A real estate attorney is a different breed. You can't be telling people, I have a trial, it's 3 weeks,
No.
I have depositions, or, my family attorney from Long Island, he's represented my dad for 45 years. Speak to that issue about the specialty and the necessity.
I say this all the time. Somebody who's a personal injury attorney is not a good real estate attorney. You just can't be, okay? Somebody who represents you on a divorce and specialized as a divorce attorney is not a good real estate attorney. You need to have a specialist represent you. I mean, if you have a toothache, you wouldn't go to your MD to have the cavity filled. If you have a cancer, you wouldn't go to a dentist to treat you for that cancer. You need to go to a specialist that can serve your purpose. And when it's real estate, you need to have an experienced real estate attorney represent you.
Right. And now, I mean, I've always agreed with that, but I've come across a great friend of mine from law school as a personal injury attorney. It's funny you said that. And he got a real estate for this many years ago, and he put it on his shelf. And I said, what's going on with that deal? And he goes, what do you mean? He's expecting there to be motion practice and the court giving him notification. I said, no, man, you got to get on this every day, all day. It's on you. He didn't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's because that practice of law, things go years. There's no closing. Right. Yes. This is not that. This is, especially now with texting. And I bet you make 100 texts a day with your clients and your contacts.
Text, the level of communication between my cell phone, because I give everybody my cell phone number. I'm always accessible. My office phone and emails, it could be a lot. It could be a lot. Some days I feel like I'm hyperventilating.
It really is.
Between the office phone and the cell phone. But
I respect that because, now people are texting you at 9:45 at night.
Oh, I get phone calls at 10, 11 o'clock at night, sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning and texts.
Sure. But I mean, let's go back to the lawyerly, what do they call it? The noble profession. That was never supposed to be this way.
No.
It was never,
No.
it was supposed to be. It evolved, right? Because the need and your value is there by being responsive and being
well, Scott, it's so important, especially in this market where things can change from one moment to the next. Access is so critical. It's the most important item, I believe, outside of actual knowledge and skill, because you need to be accessible, and access is key.
And, I remember starting out, I mean, this was the days of the flip phone, I guess in 96. And I remember a mortgage guy telling me, here's how you will make money. And I said, tell me, I got to know. He goes, answer your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, realtors sometimes don't answer phones.
That's right. That's right.
It's crazy with all the, you have all the social media and the, of course, phone and text, email.
Although I have to say that I don't think that I can complain about lack of communication. Everybody pretty much is being very responsive these days.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
I mean, you can't always answer at that moment, but the acknowledgement that you've received their attempted communication, and then it's the follow through of getting back to people.
Right. It is. Yeah. I remember when the BlackBerry came out, 2002, 3, whatever it was, I got out from behind the desk. And now I can be doing something with kids, a short text. It's a trade-off to me. Yes, you're available, but you're also free to run around.
Yeah.
That's important.
I like to be in my office, though. I'm not a remote person. I have to be honest. I don't like working from home. I like being in my office. I like my office environment. My headspace is different. Even during COVID, I was here every single day by myself, but I was here every single day. I'm much more productive.
Right, because there's too many. I'm the same way. This is an office, and when you're in that place, you're not dressing. You're, maybe you have too many distractions, and there's some good food in the fridge. But I think, unfortunately, that's not. We're now at a slippery slope of it's never going to change back to offices like it was.
It's here in my office. I have my two girls. We're here every day.
Right, but look at the communication we're sharing right now. You could do this from anywhere, anytime.
Very
and
true.
I think the client would trade accessibility for office hours.
There's something good that did happen as a result of that. So prior to COVID, I insisted that every single, especially first-time home borrower, would have to come into my office to initiate attorney review. Especially with the first-time home buyer, there's a lot of different facets to a real estate transaction, and the establishment of a relationship is so much more tangible when you have that face-to-face, right? And you have to sit down at a table. But then as a result of COVID, that wasn't possible. So hence, the phone calls and the FaceTimes and the Zooms. As a result, and especially with the market kicking up the way that it did, it did facilitate attorney review starting with a bang right away, rather than waiting a day, let's say, to start it. So, it helped make the market a little bit more frenzied too.
Yeah, listen, I agree. And the role was to hustle these things through. And, it was really important to not let it slip through the cracks.
Yes.
Right. And you know what? This is supposed to be fun. You can pick your clients. You can pick your referral partners. There's, not every, head has its own hat. So you really have to enjoy it. I think that's when you give great value to people. I put together, because I joined EXP, and I realized that I did not have the long-term supportive customer client base that's going to refer me business. So I really needed to meet more people. I thought that the way I would gain was to gain more introductions. And I think that my niche and the niche that I support and provide others is the best niche. That's the business community. People are first-time buyers, people are retirees, vacation rentals. To me, wherever an agent is, and this is really, neglected, the business community is staying around. They're the ones that sweep the sidewalks. They're the ones that have kids in school. They're not fooling around. So if you could be a valuable member to that community and work alongside them and give them value, and that's why I thought that the best value is to give the business community a place to promote their business, like you have now, and agents that I've worked with and I have, and that's an untapped source. That's people are online, they are on Facebook, so why not give them? I made up the term digital position, like you have. You've gained an audience, others can do the same. But I'd say we empower the people to meet who they should know, and gain more and better referral partners. That's the key, I think. There's so much. I'm sure you don't do it, but I'm sure you're aware that mortgage pros and title pros are chasing agents and maybe bothering them and coming at them with the same old message and suffering rejection. And the lawyers are rarely in that position, but you and I both know that the others are. So why not give them something of value and work alongside them? That's what I believe, and it's worked for me.
Scott, I believe it's all about your results. The result speaks for itself.
Right. Do you know who Bill Parcells was, the Giants' old coach?
Yes.
Well, he said something years ago that said, you are your record. And I always wondered about that, because if you lose a game by an inch or a point, you really might have outplayed the team, but you lost.
Right.
So that was always a hard, but I think you just said the same thing. You are your record.
Correct.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. But you also have the personal relationships are the ones that really propel you forward.
Well, Scott, you know what? And now if we're talking about my record, I have a lot of experience, not just as a real estate attorney, but my past experience, which really lends itself to really making me a very heightened real estate attorney. Um, I was planning and zoning board attorney for a town for 18 years. So when it comes to, zoning issues, planning issues, CO issues, um, local politics, knowing people in building departments and knowing what to expect, I have a vast amount of experience. I was a councilwoman for 2 terms. I sat on the board of a local thrift institution for 15 years where, part of my role as a board of director was to approve loans and review the applications. So, all of this lends itself to my personal experience as a real estate attorney because I have an extremely vast background in the business.
So you've taken that massive amount of information and you really distill it down to representing one party within a transaction, and they get such a greater value than some attorney that has really just done only this.
Yeah, it's not just transactional, Scott. There's a lot. There's a lot behind every single transaction. I'm representing somebody right now on the purchase of an empty lot. So I had to advise, what they could build without variances, what kind of variances they could expect to have to present, when they do their architectural drawings and their plans and present before the planning board. There's a lot.
That is a lot because, no, I agree with you. I mean, because I would tell you, there's not a lot of real estate attorneys that would touch that.
Indeed.
They would have to refer that. Yeah, that's fun. How about bank closings? Have you done bank closings?
You mean representing lenders, the bank?
Yes, sure.
Not too much through the years, I have to be honest with you. No, I mean, when I was on the board at the bank, I was a director, so I wasn't I wasn't the bank attorney back then.
Well, that's really specialized. It seems that the bank attorneys really don't delve into the private transactions. They're usually the mills, they closings all day.
Yeah. And that's very impersonal.
I was part of that. That's entirely impersonal. Let's throw the docs and run out of the room.
Yeah, it's very impersonal.
There was a firm at Long Island, and they had closing rooms on each side, and no joke, they wore out the carpet. They wore out the carpet from closings.
Yeah.
One day I smelled and saw the new carpet, and the other one was threadbare from the traffic. So if you want to talk about impersonal, it was really like a factory.
Listen, I have people who are my clients from when I first started out. I've got one client who continues to be a client. We closed another transaction 3 weeks ago, and I've known him since 1996. Let's say it. Yep. I can't even tell you how many things we've done together through the years.
Yeah, that's trust. That's important. Yeah. That's powerful. And that's why it's great to offer your clients that type of connection too. All right. Well, I'm happy that we got together. I mean, I know that this information will provide a real benefit to your audience. We at PlugIntro, we have a staff, and as an associate broker with the EXP, I'd love to introduce you to people that you may not have otherwise known. There's plenty of people in your market area. I'll let them know that I have an attorney for them that really can service their clients' needs. I'm proud to be able to do that.
Thank you, Scott.
Of course. So how's the best way to reach you? I know you're always on your cell phone.
Well, I have multiple ways. My cell phone, where I'm always available, is 201 709-4078. The office phone number is 201-295-0700. My email, Maria@mariaesq.com.